Hello everyone. So today we will be covering the economy and financial news analysis for the 1st of May. Okay. So let us start with the first important news. So the first important news is the index of 8 core sectors. Okay, the index of 8 core sectors. Now who publishes this? This is published by Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce. And what is the base year for the same? It is 2011-12. Okay, this is important for you to remember that who publishes it and what is the base year for the same. Okay, and another important thing that you need to remember here is that you need to remember first of all the 8 sectors, the 8 core sectors that are present in this index. You need to remember all of them. At the same time, you also need to remember its sequence. Its sequence in the sense, what is the weightage? On the basis of the weightage, what is the sequence of the core sectors in this index? So let us see. The highest weightage is of refinery products, okay, followed by electricity, steel, then we have coal, crude oil, then we have the natural gas, cement, and at last we have the fertilizers. Okay, so from here you can understand that these are the 8 core sectors, and the refinery products, they have the highest weightage, and the fertilizers, they have the lowest weightage. It is important for you to remember all of these sectors and the sequence, and if you are not able to remember the sequence, you should at least know that the highest weightage is of refinery products and lowest of fertilizers. Okay, this is the basic idea you should have about the index of 8 core industries. Now let us see the index and the data that are in the news. Okay, so what has happened that in the month of March, the index of 8 core sectors, it has decelerated to a 5-month low of 3.6%. okay, and this was driven by the activities of 8 sectors, of 6 out of 8 sectors slowing down. Because of slowdown in 6 out of 8 sectors, a deceleration in the growth of the index was shown. Okay, now let us see the industry or the sector wise data. Like natural gas, it showed a growth of 2.8%, refinery products 1.5%, fertilizers 9.7%, steel 8.8%, cement minus 0.8%, and electricity minus 1.8%. So this 6 sectors, they have shown deceleration in their growth. And what are the 2 sectors that have shown acceleration or they have shown improvement in their growth? It is coal output with a growth of 12.2% and crude oil with a growth of minus 2.8%. okay, now since this is in minus, do not think that it has shown deceleration. Okay, with respect to the previous month, it has shown improvement, but it is still in the negative territory. Okay, now the data for the year, the financial year of 2023. In the financial year of 2023, the growth has also decelerated to 7.6%. In the previous financial year, the growth was beyond 10%. It was 10.4%. But this year, this financial year of 2023, it has decelerated to 7.6%. Okay. And what are we expecting? That what are the reasons for the same? We are expecting that because of unseasonal rainfall, some sectors among the core sectors have been affected, like electricity and cement. Okay, and we have also another data that we need to remember here, that is the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate of the core sector is 3.6% since financial year of 2020. Okay, so these are the current news that you need to remember. And here there is also another important thing which I missed out in this beginning, that is static, that is the index. This 8 core industries or sectors, they make up 40.27% of IIP. Okay, 40.27% of IIP. This is a very significant portion of IIP. Hence, because these 8 sectors, they have shown deceleration, we are also expecting that the IIP, it will also show a deceleration in the month of May by some 3 to 4 points. We are expecting that the IIP growth for the month of May will also dip by 3 to 4% compared to the last month, that is February. Okay, then we have another important thing that you will need to remember here. So we have 2 things that you need to remember here, that is the business expectation survey and business confidence index. Business expectation survey and business confidence index, both of this are published by NCAER, that is National Council for Applied Economic Research. And on the basis of this expectation survey, we have found that the quarter 4 of the financial year of 2023, we will see business sentiments turning buoyant. What it means? It means that the business sentiments will be strengthened or is strengthened in the quarter 4 of financial year of 2023. Okay, and it is also complemented by the confidence index, business confidence index, which shows a rise in the index to 149.7 in the quarter 4. Okay, compared to the previous quarter, it has also shown an increase. So what you need to remember here, that this survey and this index both are published by NCAER, and at the same time you need to remember that the value of business confidence index is 149.7 in the 4th quarter, and in the 4th quarter there is also a strengthening in the business sentiments. Okay, then let us go to the next news. So here you need to remember just a few things. So what are these few things? That the PM, our Prime Minister, he has inaugurated 91 FM transmitters in 18 states and 2 union territories. Okay, so this number 91 FM transmitters that was inaugurated by him in 18 states and 2 UTs, it is important for you to remember. Okay, so here what has happened is that we think that the FM radio, it has lost its significance, right? With the coming up of smartphones, internet, we think that the FM radio is no longer useful. However, that's not the case. It's still useful, especially to reach remote regions. FM radio has been very useful, and with this inauguration of 91 transmitters, we are expecting that we will be able to reach more than 2 crore people who are living in remote areas. Okay, so FM transmitters, they have the FM radio, it has not lost its significance, and we can in fact use it to make information reach the remote corners of the country where smartphones or internet is not easily reachable. Okay, so what you need to remember here, 91 FM transmitters, 18 states and 2 union territories inaugurated by our president. Okay, then let us go to the next news, that is National Tourism Policy. So the National Tourism Policy is not out yet. Okay, it is not out yet, it has not been finalized yet. We are expecting that it would be ready in 2 months. So this 2 months we are expecting to get a national policy for tourism. Now what we need to remember here, you need to remember here this, that what are we targeting with this National Tourism Policy? So we are targeting that we will increase the foreign tourist arrivals to 100 million by 2040. 47 by increasing it nearly 10 folds. We want that with this policy, this national tourism policy, we are targeting to increase the foreign tourist arrivals to 100 million by 2047 or 2047. But this policy has not been finalized yet. So here you just need to remember this target, 100 million by 2047. Okay. Then let us go to the next news. India-US talk dual use export control issues. So what is dual use export? So dual use export is basically the goods and services that can be used for both civilian and military purpose. Okay, goods and services that can be used for both civilian and military purpose. So obviously, since it can also be used for military purposes alongside civilian purposes, you will see some sort of restriction and control issues, export control issues that we are seeing. So that is basically what India-US are discussing on. What is important here for you to remember, that what is dual use goods and services? So the goods and services which can be used for both civilian and military purpose. And another thing that is important for you to remember is that this discussion, it is being done ahead of the US-India Strategic Trade Dialogue. US-India Strategic Trade Dialogue. So where the strategic trade dialogue is being conducted or is going to be conducted, it is Washington DC. Okay, this is important for you to remember, that this dialogue would be conducted in Washington DC between US and India. Okay. Okay. Now let us go to the next news. So regulatory bodies in news. So we have RBI has recently released master direction for KYC. So why it has come up with this amendment? To control money laundering and terror financing. So terror financing, pretty self-explanatory, financing for terrorism or terrorists, right? And what is money laundering? In simple words, it is converting black money to white money. So basically, after earning money through illegitimate sources, what they are doing is they are channeling it or they are routing it through different methods so that it comes back to them. They are routing it through different methods, so it comes back to them in form of white money, and this is known as money laundering. Okay. So this KYC direction, master direction for KYC, it is to prevent this. We want to eventually stop this, but currently it's obviously not possible to completely shut something down, but we are trying our best to control this to a very large extent. Okay, so for this reason, this master direction has come up. So it has been decided to amend the master direction on KYC. It will be aligned to the prevention of money laundering rules, and the Weapon of Mass Destruction Act. The Prevention of Money Laundering Rules and Weapon of Mass Destruction Act. Okay. And at the same time, we want to set our rules and regulations in accordance to FATF recommendations, and at the same time some certain extant instructions post review. So what is this FATF? FATF is basically an intergovernmental organization. It was formed in 1989 by G7, okay, by excuse me, by G7 this organization was formed, and India is currently a member of FATF. However, it is not a founding member. It is not a founding member. In 2006, it got the observer status, and in 2010, it has become a full member. So currently, it is a full member of FATF, but is not a founding member. It was found in 1989 by G7. Okay. Now, for whom this master direction is made? It is made for all the regulated entities, and why was there a need of this KYC? Just like we discussed, to prevent banks and other financial institutions to become a channel of money laundering, terrorist financing, and at the same time we need to ensure the integrity and security of our financial system, and not just our financial system but the international financial system, so that it is not used for such purpose, for money laundering and terrorist financing. So we have already discussed the FATF 1989, right? And it also, the FATF, it deals with these two things only, money laundering and terror financing. Okay, and the PMLA, that is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, it also deals with the same, that is money laundering and countering financing of terrorism, that is terror financing. Okay. Now let us go to the recommendations. We talked about the master direction, but what is this direction? What amendments has been brought? So let us see. First, there were four different amendments that has been brought. So let us start with the beneficiary owner. So who is a beneficiary owner? Beneficiary owner is someone who holds controlling ownership interest. Someone who holds controlling ownership interest is known as a beneficial owner. Previously the threshold for someone to become a beneficiary owner was 25% of controlling ownership interest in a company, or 15% of controlling ownership interest in a trust. If someone had 25% controlling ownership interest in a company or 15% of controlling ownership interest in a trust, they were declared as a beneficial owner. But currently this has been changed. Currently someone who has controlling ownership interest of 10% either in a company or in a trust, it doesn't matter, either in a company or in a trust. If someone holds 10% of controlling ownership interest, they will be the beneficial owner. Okay, they will be the beneficial owner. So here what you need to remember, this value 10%, someone who holds 10% of controlling ownership interest is a beneficial owner. This change has been brought. Then the regulated entities. Okay, so we have a Darpan portal which is managed by Niti Aayog. So what happens here is the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, they register here and they register all of their details. So from this amendment, what has happened is that it is making the regulated entities more responsible for the NGOs to register in the Darpan portal. So what they will do is that if they have any customer who are non-profit organizations, then their details should be registered on the Darpan portal of Niti Aayog. And if they do not already have their details registered, they are going to, this regulated entities, they are going to register their details on the Darpan portal. Okay. Then let us see the next amendment, that is periodic updation of KYC. So here what has happened, for non-face-to-face mode of periodic updation of KYC, the Aadhaar OTP based KYC can be done. For non-face-to-face mode of updation of KYC, Aadhaar OTP based eKYC can be done. If the current address if the current address is different from the address mentioned in Aadhaar, that is not an issue, okay. But it needs to ensure that the mobile number for Aadhaar authentication, is the same that is available in the customer's profile. The mobile number should not change, it should remain the same, the one being used for Aadhaar authentication. It should be the same as the customer has on its profile, okay. So this is for the periodic updation of KYC. Then the last amendment is shell banks. So shell banks, so the definition of shell banks has been amended. So what has happened? The shell banks, so it has made that the banks with no physical presence in the country in which it is incorporated and licensed. It does not have any physical presence in the country in which it is incorporated and licensed, and at the same time it is unaffiliated with a regulated financial group. So it does not have a physical presence and it is unaffiliated with a regulated financial group. Then it will be a shell bank. And by physical presence, it does not mean that any low level officer or some representative can be a physical presence in a country. No, for someone to have a physical presence, they need to have a meaningful mind and management located within a country, not just some sort of local level staff or a local agent, okay. If someone has a meaningful mind and management located within a country, then only it will be known as physical presence. So someone with no physical presence and unaffiliated to regulated financial group is known as a shell bank, okay. So these are the four amendments that was brought by the master plan for KYC, okay. And it is important for you to remember all of these, the four amendments that were brought, and especially the number 10%. Beneficial owner holds 10% of controlling ownership, okay. Then let us come to the next news, that is sectoral deployment of bank credit. So bank gives credit, right? So it does not give credit to just one person, they give to different people. Maybe someone is in agriculture, maybe someone is in MSME, maybe someone is in service, maybe someone is in manufacturing, right? So this data, it is going to show us that how this credit has gone with respect to different sectors, and for the same reason data from 40 selected scheduled commercial banks has been collected, okay, for the month of March 2023. Now let us see the data. So for credit to agriculture and allied activities it rose by 15.4% for agriculture and allied activities. Now these values are important for you to remember. I know there are many values, but you should have an idea, and if it is better if you can remember it, but you should have an idea of these values because these have chances to come in the examination, okay. So the credit to agriculture and allied activities, it has rose by 15.4%. Then industry, credit to industry, it has registered a growth of 5.7%. To large industries, credit to large industries, it has grown by 3%. Medium industries, it has grown by 19.6%, okay, by 19.6%. Then credit to micro and small industries, it has grown by 12.3%, okay, 12.3%. And if we consider within industry, credit growth to basic metal and metal products, chemical and chemical products, petroleum, coal products and nuclear fuels, It has accelerated. It has shown a growth, right? Basic metal and metal products, chemical and chemical products, and petroleum, coal and nuclear fuel. It has shown an acceleration in growth. And which has shown a deceleration or a contraction? It is food processing, infrastructure and textiles. Okay, this data is with respect to the previous year. Okay, all of this data is with respect to the previous year of March 2022. These data are of March 2023 with respect to March 2022. So in 1 year the growth data has been presented to you here. Okay. Now for services sector, right? For services sector, it has accelerated to 19.8%. Okay, 19.8%, and personal loans have shown a growth of 20.6%. And this personal loan which has shown a growth, the prime factor which has driven this is housing loans. Okay. Now let us see some practice questions. Okay, from whatever we learned today, let us see some practice questions. So what percentage of weighing of items included in index of industrial production do the 8 core industries account for? So what percentage of the IIP do the 8 core industries account for? B. Yes, the answer is B, 40.27%. We discussed in the first news, right? It consists of 40.27% of IIP, and that's exactly why, because of deceleration in the index of 8 core industries, we are expecting that there will be a deceleration in the IIP as well, right? Okay, let us go to the next question. How many FM transmitters were inaugurated by okay, the E option is here. Okay, the E option is not the answer anyway, so C. What is the answer to this question? How many FM transmitters were recently inaugurated by our Prime Minister? Okay, again the answer is B, absolutely correct. It is 91 transmitters spread across 18 states and 2 UTs. 18 states and 2 UTs. Okay. Now let us go to the next question. What is US ISTD and where it is scheduled to be held? And where it is scheduled to be held? Okay, the answer again is B. Okay, so all the answers are B today, and it is right as well. Okay, the answer is B. So this US ISTD, it is a dialogue between India and US to be held in Washington DC, and today we discussed that before this dialogue they were discussing about dual use goods and services. Dual use refers to the goods and services which can be used for both civilian and military purpose, right? Okay. Now let us go to the next question, which is FATF, which is about FATF. When was FATF established and by whom? Okay. When was FATF established and by whom? Okay, again B. All the answers are B today. Okay. We had discussed this, that it was established in 1989 by G7, and India is a member of FATF, not a founding member, but it is currently a member of FATF. Okay. Now let us see the next question, fifth question and last for today. By what percentage, let us see if you are able to remember this, by what percentage did credit to agriculture and allied activities rise in the March 2023 with respect to March 2022? Why all options are B? Okay. So that in case all of your answers come B in the examination, but you are sure the answers are right, then it is right. You don't need to get confused. Okay, so what will be the answer to this question? What percentage did credit to agriculture and allied activities rise in March 2023 compared to the last year? Okay, the answer to this question would be not B but D, 15.4%. Okay, just like I said you, these values, you need to remember these values, right? You don't need to by heart it, just like I say always, you don't need to by heart the numbers, but what you need to do is you need to read these numbers, you need to have a look at these numbers again and again, and once you acquaint yourself to these numbers, you would be easily able to identify that which one of it is your answer. You don't need to exactly remember 15.4%, but if you have a look at all the numbers again and again, in the examination you will get a hunch that no, I had seen this number somewhere, 15.4%, and it is the right answer. Okay? Okay. So that is all for today. Okay, let's call it a day, and we will meet tomorrow for the current affairs for 2nd of May. Okay, so have a good day. Thank you.